Hello and welcome to the Maysville Community Technical College's pre-admission conference for the Practical Nursing Program. This is a program that is offered at two campuses, the Maysville's main campus in Maysville, Kentucky, and the Rowan campus in Moorhead, Kentucky. We will no longer be offering the practical nursing at our Montgomery campus starting in August of 2021. So if you are interested in the practical nursing program that starts August 2021 in Maysville or Rowan, please continue to watch and gain information. Thanks. Again, welcome to the pre-admission conference for the practical nursing program. My name is Ginger Clark and I'm the Associate Dean of Health Sciences and the Nursing Program Administrator for Maysville Community and Technical College. I've included my phone number and extension along with my email address if you need me for any information or you just have a few questions to ask. Please don't hesitate to call. At the end of this program, we'll give you some more contact information if needed. Topics to be discussed in this presentation include the introduction, the application process to the Maysville Community Technical College's practical nursing program, the philosophy of the program, where to find the application packets and how to complete them, specific program requirements for the PN program, the selective admission process, health screening requirements, criminal background checks, the deadline for application to the practical nursing program, which is March 1st of 2020. It either needs to be postmarked by that date or delivered to the offices by that date, and the notification of acceptance into the practical nursing program. So let's talk about the application process to the practical nursing program. Where do I find it? So if you go to the MCTC website and look under nursing and then scroll halfway down right where you found this pre-admission conference, right under that are the papers to review that we'll go over in this PowerPoint presentation, but there'll also be letters that papers you have to sign and return to the campuses. So please make sure that you do that. To complete them, we should talk about all of those applications that have to be submitted, and we're going to talk about the other papers in that application packet. What's considered a complete application? That means that all the papers are signed and returned to us by the deadline, which is March 1st. Applications must be submitted by the deadline to be considered, and incomplete applications will not be considered. So if you're missing a lot of paperwork, if you haven't done your TEAS examination, etc., then you will not be considered for the program. So please make sure you listen and follow the directions that are given in this pre-admission conference. It is the student's responsibility to ensure that the application is complete and on file by the deadline. And again, you can mail that application to the main campus, which is 1755 US Highway 68 in Maysville, Kentucky, with the zip of 41056. I'll talk about that a little bit later at the end of the program. You can also send it to the Rowan campus, and that campus address is 400 Rocky Adkins Tech Drive in Moorhead, Kentucky, and the zip is 40351. And address that to Amy Konopka. Her name will be again at the end of this presentation. The application to the MCTC nursing program does not guarantee admission into the nursing program. There is a selective admission process that we will discuss for admission considerations, and students will be notified via their KCTCS emails if accepted or denied admission into the program. So make sure that you look at that. Give us a good email on your application form that we can send the letters to you of acceptance or denial. And the big thing is that I have in red on this slide is do not send anything overnight or special mail, because if you do that, a lot of times we will not be at the loading dock, and if nobody's at the loading dock to accept that, it's sent back to the post office and then usually sent back to you. So make sure that you either send it regular mail and it's post dated by March 1st, or you can bring it into campus if you need to and turn it into one of our division assistants in the nursing program. This is the philosophy of the MCTC Practical Nursing Program, so I'm just going to give you a few minutes to look this over. So this form is in your packet for you to look over, but I've put it on the screen here just to talk about some of the estimated costs and fees for being in the program. So the first is the tuition, which currently is $182 per hour. And so the first semester in the practical nursing program, you take 12 hours. And so you can imagine 182 times 12, and that would be, if you're a resident, what your tuition costs would be. Your textbooks are usually around $1,000, and your AP access is approximately $500 per semester. Your uniforms, lab coat, shoes are about $150. We don't want you to buy those ahead of time because we do have uniforms that come from the bookstore now with our emblem for Maysville Community Technical College on those. And required before clinicals, you have to get a background check and drug screen. Don't do those. We have a place for you to do that. We also have something that you keep your background check, your drug screen, your immunizations in, and it's called Castle Branch. And that Castle Branch is a records repository that keeps all of your records so that we can check them at one time. They notify you if things are due or if your CPR is about to expire or anything like that. They do notify you about that, so please don't ignore it. But you have to have immunization and blood work. You have to have liability insurance every semester. It's usually about $11. We do that. You do that when you pay your book bill or your tuition bill, so you don't have to worry about paying that extra. You do have to purchase a stethoscope, so it's a good thing to ask for Christmas, but I will tell you that you get what you pay for. You don't want to buy a $4 stethoscope because you will definitely have difficulty hearing breath sounds, lung sounds. My stethoscope cost about $35. It's a Littman, and it works great. But a lot of students have trouble with the double barrel lumen stethoscopes too, because they hear that the two sides of the rubber rubbing against each other, and they have a hard time hearing the breath sounds and lung sounds. You have to have a watch with a second hand, a blood pressure cuff, and scissors. And then we go to the graduation expenses. So to take the NCLEX exam at the end of your program is about $310. At this point, the diploma fee is about $15. Graduation pictures, which is optional, is about $30. And your nursing pin can be around $50 up to $100, whatever you choose for that. There's a fee for Student Nurse Association, and sometimes we do state meetings. That's optional. And then you can see our clinical sites that we go to. You have Meadowview, the VA, Eastern State, Ohio Valley Manor. We do St. Clair, the Maysville Nursing and Rehab. There's several different ones that we use. So there's no fee to do your clinicals. We just kind of want you to see those sites. And the liability insurance carrier is determined by KCTCS and is subject to increase in their fees depending on the carrier that the program goes to. This slide talks about the required documentation that is required upon admission into the program. One, you have to be on the Kentucky Board of Nurses Nurse Aid Abuse Registry. So if for some reason you're on the Ohio Nurse Aid Abuse Registry, you need to have that transferred to Kentucky, and you can call KBN to find that out. But I will tell you, make sure that you don't let that lapse while you're in nursing school, because if for some reason you're unsuccessful or you have health issues, etc., that you have to withdraw, and you let that nurse aid slip and expire, it's very hard to get it back, because you have to go back to class and you have to take the state board test again. So you don't want to do that. It's much easier to make sure that you renew every 2 years. You have to be CPR certified, and that includes being certified for adults, infants, and children, along with AED certification. So usually it's a healthcare provider certification. The professional liability insurance, I told you, you pay for that with your tuition bill. The drug screen and criminal background check you'll do through Castle Branch, so they will tell you what you need to do during your orientation for that. There's other lab work that we'll talk about, but you could be gathering your information to have it all ready for orientation. So this form that's in your packet is some unique requirements for the practical nursing program. So you can see that acceptance into the practical nursing program is based on a selective admission process. Requirements that are required are application for admission that are received by the deadline. Your official transcripts from any college or university needs to be transferred to MCTC. Your official high school transcript, any recent ACT scores, your T-score has to be in by the deadline. Your attendance in the pre-admission conference, which you're doing now. You must be on the Kentucky Nurse Aid Registry and have that current Red Cross or American Heart CPR card. And we do not take online certification for CPR, so you have to do a face-to-face program. So then it talks about the curriculum requirements and some prereqs to get in. And then, you know, there's different things you can choose. You can work with your advisor and choose whether you do just a diploma for the practical nursing, or if you get a GOTS degree or an associate degree, then those are things you can work out with your advisor on that. The next form in your packet is the practical nursing selective admission assessment. So this just goes over points that we give you for to get into the program. You know, you have to have a 2.0 to be even considered. And then we give you points for your TEAS examination. If you've taken the ACT, your previous college experience, you can get points for that. And for your biology classes, if you've gotten an A or B or C, you can get points for that. And we add those out, and we take the students with the highest number of points into our program. So this slide just basically talks about our ATI-TEAS examination that is required for the application process. It's a test of essential academic skills. That's what the TEAS stands for. And it's part of a national exam for health sciences and designated specifically to assess the student's academic preparedness. And the test is multiple choice, and the skills assessed are mathematics, reading, science, and English and language usage. So basically, it's a lot like what you would think of as the ACT, but it is for health sciences. And we do look to make sure that you are, we looked at the test scores for that to make sure that you are prepared for coming into the program. If you want to study for it, I would recommend that you go to the website that's listed here, the atitesting.com/events. And there's free webinars, there's some online studying that you could purchase if you want. The library has some things you can study if you would like to do that. If you don't test well, you can retest one time during the admission cycle, and you have to have that completed before the admission deadline, which is March 1st. So if you go to the MCTC website, this is all listed there also, and I would make sure that you call Jerry Morrison, who is in our testing center, and he can set up your times to test. So the next form included in your packet is a statement of understanding. This form will have to be returned with your admission packet to the college. And it says, as a student of this program, I agree to the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures as stated below. The program requires a period of assigned guided clinical experiences, either at the college or other appropriate facility in the community. For educational purposes and practice on live models, I will allow other students to practice procedures on me, and I will practice procedures on them under the guidance and direct supervision of my instructor. The nature and educational objectives of these procedures have been fully explained to me. No guarantee or assurances have been given to me by any representative of the college as to any problem that might be incurred as a result of these procedures. So usually you have lab partners that you practice head-to-toe assessments on. You practice listening to heart sounds, lung sounds, bowel sounds, different things like that. So that it gives you a much better way to practice than listening on a mannequin. These clinical experiences are assigned by the instructor for their educational value, and thus no payments or wages will be earned or expected. It is understood I will be a student within the clinical facilities that affiliate with my college and will conduct myself accordingly. I will follow all required and published personnel policies, standards, philosophy, and procedures of these agencies. I will agree at my own expense to obtain all health screenings, immunizations, criminal background checks, and drug screenings as required by the affiliating agency. I have been provided a copy of and read and agree to adhere to the college policies, rules, and regulations related to the program for which I am applying. I understand that information regarding patient or former patients is confidential and may be used only for clinical purposes within an educational setting according to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, or HIPAA. I understand that the educational experiences and knowledge gained during the program do not entitle me to a job. However, if all educational objectives and licensure requirements are successfully obtained, I will be qualified for a job in this occupation. I understand that any action on my part inconsistent with the above understandings may result in suspension of training. I understand that I am liable for my own medical and hospital expenses, and I understand that I am accountable for my own actions. Therefore, I will carry the minimum liability insurance, which again is in your tuition cost each semester, the facility. So you say, I have read and understand each term above and agree to abide by this statement of understanding, and you sign it and date it, and you'll return that with your admission packet. Now, to go into a little more depth of some of these, I will say number 4, it says that you understand that you're a student within the clinical facilities that affiliate with the college. If you look on the previous sheet that gave you some of the examples of places we go, if a facility refuses you admittance into their clinical setting for some reason, if you were fired from that facility, we will try to find another facility. But if we don't go to another facility, then that may exclude you from the program. When you talk about adhering to the college's policies, rules, and regulations, we give you a student handbook at the beginning of the nursing program, and that is your Bible basically for the program. It tells you about uniforms, what you have to be, what you have to wear to clinical facilities, about professionalism, and we
are very strong on you following those rules. If for some reason you come to a clinical setting and you are out of uniform for some reason, you wore purple shoes, you wore your hair, you have 15 earrings in and your tongue is pierced. If you have not taken those things out for the clinical setting, you can be sent home and given an unsatisfactory for that. We're very strict on the rules. I am the first person that a facility will usually contact to say, why is your student out of uniform? If you have tattoos, they have to be covered. Why is your student having tattoos? If our facility says you can't do that, that our own staff can't do that, then why should your students be able to do that? And they know who our students are, those facilities. You guys are all in the same colors. And if I get that call and I have to call the clinical instructor and say who's out of uniform, who's wearing jewelry, who's wearing a tongue ring, etc., you will be sent home and you will be given an unsatisfactory. If you get 3 unsatisfactories, again, you are out of the program. So we follow those rules not just because we like to write rules. Those came from the facilities. We have long-standing relationships with the facilities we go to, and it's not fair for students to be out of the conformed uniform that their staff have to be in. So yes, our restrictions are strict. We expect you to follow them. I don't care what you do when you're working on your own time, but when you're in a facility and you're representing the college and you're representing the nursing program, we expect you to adhere to all uniform requirements. We expect you to act professionally at all times, have your badge on at all times if you're representing the college. And so those are things that you want to definitely be aware of and know that we are very strict on that. HIPAA is another thing that we are very concerned about. Breaking HIPAA can result in a huge fine for students, up to $250,000 of your money. It wouldn't be covered under the liability insurance. So we all live in small towns. MCTC is basically every campus is in a small rural area and everybody knows everybody. So we take this very seriously, and you do not want to talk about a patient that you are caring for at any time anywhere outside of the setting of the hospital to your instructor or to the nurse caring for them. You don't even want to discuss it between each other. You don't want to discuss it at the lunch table, what you did to Mr. So-and-so in room 239A, because their family may be sitting there and know exactly who you're talking about. And the hospital can find out that you broke HIPAA, and they can call us and they can refuse to allow you back into the facility, which basically means that you would be out of the program. So we take HIPAA very seriously, and you don't want to put anything on social media. You don't want to put anything out there that would in any way jeopardize your admission into the program or the possibility of being fined federally for breaking HIPAA confidence. The next form in your packet is technical standards. So it says nursing at the technical level involves the provisions of direct care for individuals and is characterized by the application of verified knowledge in the skillful performance of nursing functions. Therefore, in order to be retained in the program, all applicants should possess 1, sufficient visual acuity such as needed in the preparation and administration of medications and for the observation necessary for patient assessment and nursing care. So that means that you have to be able to see adequately to draw up medications in a syringe, that you can read that syringe in those tiny numbers, or it can be corrected with glasses. 2, sufficient auditory perception to receive verbal communication from patients and members of the healthcare team, and to assess health needs in people through the use of monitoring devices such as cardiac monitors, stethoscopes, IV infusion pumps, DOP tones, fire alarms, etc. 3, sufficient gross and fine motor coordination to respond promptly and to implement the skills, including the manipulation of equipment required in meeting health needs. So you have to be able to support a patient, carry a patient if they fall, help lift a patient, and also have fine motor coordination, again, to draw up syringes, different things like that. 4, sufficient communication skills, speech, reading, writing, to interact with individuals and to communicate their needs promptly and effectively as may be necessary in the individual's interests. Sufficient intellectual and emotional functions to plan and implement care for individuals. So this form again needs to be signed and returned to the main campus with your admission packets. And it has, if you need any special accommodations, that you contact myself or Lori Gantz at the registrar's or admissions department. So this form that needs to be returned to us is our personal information sheet. So you need to give us the best address, the best telephone number to get a hold of you if we have any questions, and also the best email address, because if you get accepted or denied admission into the program, we will send you an email letter to notify you whether you were accepted or denied acceptance into the program. We have an emergency contact listed there. We also want information if you're just here to get informational purposes only, or what semester you're wanting to come into, which would be August, which is the fall semester. And then if you're here for readmission, then you would say what semester you're wanting to be readmitted to. And then if you're currently enrolled at MCTC, or if you're a former student, just list those also. The next form that we're going to talk about is the KBN, or Kentucky Board of Nursing Crime Conviction Procedure Acknowledgement. And before we get to this form, I want to make sure that you see that you need to read the KBN Criminal Conviction Brochure in the admission packet. This is a form that answers a lot of questions, the brochure does. It also has the Kentucky Board of Nursing phone number that you can contact them if you have any questions about your criminal background or your criminal background check. The Kentucky Board of Nursing has the right to deny you the ability to sit for the national testing or the NCLEX because of things that might be on your criminal background check. So I can't answer those questions. The Kentucky Board of Nursing can answer those questions for you. Kentucky Board of Nursing does have mandatory reporting of all criminal convictions. So even when I renew my license every year, I have to check that I haven't had any misdemeanors or other crimes on my background. If I fail to do that, they could either fine me or suspend my nursing license if I lie and think, oh, they won't find out. And the criminal background checks for students before sitting for the NCLEX actually go through the FBI. So you want to be honest. I've heard of students who have lied, been allowed to test, but as soon as they passed, they got their licensure, but they also got a huge fine from the Kentucky Board of Nursing. So it's not something that you want to mess around with when you are looking at that. Again, I can't answer those questions. You need to call the Kentucky Board of Nursing. But this KBN Conviction Procedure Acknowledgement says the KBN requires that all prospective nursing students and or enrolled nursing students be aware of the established procedures an individual must complete if he or she has been convicted of a crime. This includes felony and misdemeanors. Except traffic violations, the following must be completed. An individual may write a letter to the executive director of the Board of Nursing requesting a hearing and explaining the circumstances of a crime. B, request that official copies of the charges, conviction, and penalty be sent to the executive director of the Board of Nursing and submit additional information as requested. Number 2, a hearing will be scheduled if the charges were of such nature as to be related to the occupation of nursing, or B, if the penalty imposed has been fulfilled. A hearing will not be scheduled for an individual on parole or probation. 3, the Board of Nursing will consider A, the nature of the offense and its relationship to the occupation of nursing, B, the activities of the individual since the crime was committed, and 4, the Board of Nursing will give reasonable assurance that A, the individual will not be permitted to take the state board test pool examination if he or she completes a nursing program, or B, the individual will be permitted to take the state board test pool examination if there are no further problems and the nursing program is successfully completed. So we need you to sign this paper and date it and return it with your admission packet. This form is our policy for readmission. So if you are considering trying to come back in because you were unsuccessful in one of our programs, you can look at this form and it's in your admission packet. And the big things that you have to do are submit a letter to myself to say why you want to be considered for readmitting into the program. You also have to get a faculty member to recommend that you be in the program, but you can read this in your packet and get further information.
So this form is to be included in your admission packet, and it's to say that you verify that you have attended a pre-admission conference. So you need to write the date of viewing, your email address, and that you understand all the topics that are explained in this pre-admission video. I do see that there is a typo and it says Associate Degree Nursing Program. It should say Practical Degree Nursing Program. So on the one that's on the slide, but it'll be corrected in the forms on the website. But please make sure you put the verification code, which is MCTC PN Conference, and sign it and put the day's date. Thank you. So this form is the final form in the packet, and it's the Practical Nursing Application Campus Selection Form. So we do offer practical nursing at 2 campuses, the Maysville and the Rowan campus. So please put your first choice, your second choice. If you only want to choose one campus over the other, just put that down as your first choice. That's perfectly fine. And then sign and again put that back in your admission packet. If you choose to go to apply for both campuses, you need to fill out 2 packets, one for Maysville, one for Rowan. And then we try to honor your first choice, but if we can't, then you'll get your second choice. So finally, I want to make sure that you schedule your TEAS examination with the testing center at any MCTC campus. The directions for that are online on the MCTC website under nursing. Make sure you fill out the paperwork in the admission packet, mark it with blue writing on the top, and return that to the MCTC main campus in Maysville. Do not send it overnight shipping or anything that requires a special signature, because it will not get to me, and it usually is returned to you and you may miss the deadline. The address for the main campus is 1755 US 68 Maysville, Kentucky 41055. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or one of the division assistants or any of the faculty or advisors to make sure that we can make this as smooth a process as we can. We are excited about you applying for our nursing programs. I hope you guys are excited. And I would like to congratulate you for taking the first steps and wish you the best of luck. Thank you.